And here is the number 5 engine on the island of Sodor. Good old James the Red Rocket himself. Like Gordon, he's also a pretty consistently written character. Though, I don't think he's as consistently written as Gordon, as he's had some really bad episodes. But he's also had some gems across the 24-season run. James is another one of my favourite characters in the TV series. He thinks he's the shit, but he's not. But no matter what, he is always proud of his shiny red paintwork, which can often give him a big head from time to time. Just what does the Red Rocket himself bring to the table? Well, let's find out. This is James the Red Engine. Let's begin. James is very proud of his splendid red paintwork. He dislikes pulling trucks, though not to the extent that Gordon does, and is quite vain and occasionally boastful, particularly towards those who appear old-fashioned, weak, slow, or dirty. This has caused him to have somewhat of a rivalry with several engines, and in some cases act out. In most cases, it takes scolding from others to make his penny drop, and even then it is too late to prevent trouble. As shown in The Adventure Begins, he has acted like this even before he was repainted red. However, on a number of occasions, he has found himself in need of help from those he has insulted and is, in the end, apologetic. James could also be somewhat and has been portrayed as a prankster at times, often tricking or scaring the other engines for fun or to get out of jobs he dislikes doing. However, following a particularly mean-spirited prank he played on Percy by scaring him with a monster made out of scrap, this trait seems to have died down. As of the Meet the Steam Team videos, he has been labelled as the Joker of the Steam Team by Thomas himself. Despite all of that, James has shown a caring side to him. He has a heart of gold and wants to help out anyone in a time of need. He is normally hard-working and, like everyone else, wants to be responsible, reliable, and really useful on the Fat Controller's railway. Although his vanity usually hides it, James is capable of realizing when he crosses the line and quietly mourns for himself and others once it occurs after an accident of his causing. When it comes to the Red Rocket's voice actors, like Gordon, he has quite a few. Starting off with Michael Angelis, the voice for James for the work print of Magic Railroad, and probably the most iconic narrator to voice James in the show. As for his portrayal in the director's cut, he is easily the best work print voice actor to voice a character. And honestly, I wish they kept him on for the final film. While he's not as good in the work print as he is in the show, I still think he voices James very well in my opinion. And his voice for James in the show, especially the classic series, is so iconic. Whenever he voices James, you could just tell that he's having a blast voicing him. And he is definitely better than who they actually casted as James in Magic Railroad, and that's star of Care Bears and Sailor Moon, Susan Roman. I'm sorry, but who in the hell thought it was a good idea to cast a female as a male character? I mean, they did the same thing for Percy, but at least it sounded tasteful. And I'll get to that when I talk about Linda Ballantine. But with James, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work. Definitely the worst of the Magic Railroad voices. And now on to the CGI series voice actors now. Starting with, you guessed it, Keith Wickham. Keith's voice for James is actually really good. He captures that high opinion self of James pretty well, especially when you get to the Predator era, particularly Tale the Brave where he's the antagonist of the film, which was definitely a smart move on Mattel's part instead of making someone like Diesel the antagonist of the story, as I said in my re-review of Tale the Brave a while back. Next is Kerry Shale, who also voices Henry Gordon in US dub. It's kind of insane that Shale voiced the big three for the US. Anyway, I feel like Kerry's James voice is kind of the middle child of his voices for the big three. His Henry voice was really bad, his Gordon voice was pretty good, and his James voice leaves me kind of conflicted, honestly. It kind of makes him sound a bit too deep, if that makes sense. It sounds arrogant, yes, but I don't know, man. I can't even describe it that well. And finally, we have Rob Rackstraw, who started voicing James in the US dub from The Adventure Begins onwards, but didn't start voicing him in the UK dub until season 21 in Journey Beyond Sodor. Rob's voice for James is definitely a double-edged sword. His US voice sounds like a typical American voice for a character, but still good, don't get me wrong. Whereas his UK voice is just perfect. Like, so perfect in that. You could easily tell, especially in Journey Beyond Sodor, that Rob was just having so much fun with the role in that movie. Especially when it came to his bragging and when he sang Somebody Has to Be the Favourite. Rob is definitely the best voice actor to voice James in the show, in my opinion. He hammers his performance up just as well as Angelus did. Now on to the Red Rockets episodes. For James's best episode, I had a hard time picking through what I think would be the best. But after going through the episodes again, I'm gonna have to give this one to James and the Red Balloon. This is one of those fun Thomas and James pair-up stories. Something that the later seasons love to play with. Episodes like Thomas's New Trucks and Reds vs. Blues are two prime examples of that. Cause like Unlucky Tug said in his Sodor's Finest episode on James, you're just watching two jamogs who think the same thing, or just try and one-up each other. It's fun. This is definitely the best of those episodes in my opinion. Hell, this episode got a freaking song all about the hot air balloon in the following season. That's pretty neat. And the ending where James dreams about the balloon is just so sweet. And the runner-up is, and I know this is going to surprise a lot of you, but it's James the Second Best. Wow, a hit era episode as one of James's bests? Who'd have known? It's no wonder why this episode made it onto the best of James, because this is a great episode, and one of Season 10's best episodes. Because instead of the usual James thinks Edward is useless, gets his comeuppance, and Edward saves him kind of story, we get the complete polar opposite of it. James trying to just be like Edward by working his ass off. Because Edward was the one chosen to be on the poster for the railway because of the engine saying that he's the best. Which is true. But of course, it doesn't end well for James. And in the end, it's James who saves Edward, and not the other way around. A really fun story without a doubt, and a rare gem for the hit era. Now sadly, James isn't without sin, and you all can probably guess what it is. Get ready, because the rage is about to be engaged as I talk about the absolute worst James scented episode in the whole series, in my personal opinion. James in the fucking dark. Why? Just why does James not want to wear a freaking lamp? He's worn a lamp so many goddamn times, and it's never bothered him. But worst of all, how in the is he so blind that he can't see the engines nor the people on a well-lit platform? And no. This is the worst thing about this episode. This is the one thing that made me rage quit. How in the does he not make out the engines' names and voices? This makes no sense since now the engines have distinct voices. How does that make any sense? This may be a rare take, but I think that this episode, along with Fiery Flynn, is worse than Wonky Whistle. Same goes with that disgrace of a narrow gauge episode. The runners-up would also have to be James to the Rescue and Apology Impossible. James to the Rescue for having James just be a complete arsehole and a complete prejudice to Toby, especially with this line.
You are a steam tram. Steam trams can't be rescue engines.
An Apology Impossible for having James be a complete selfish and unlikable bully towards Philip. Like, I get it. Bullies are unlikable in real life. But James should know better than to stoop this low. And the fact that this episode is in the same season as An Engine of Many Colors just makes it all the more painful to watch. Easily one of the worst episodes in the whole Blubber era without a doubt. Moving on. Despite having just a tad few more duds than Gordon, James is undeniably one of the best characters in the show. I know I've said that with literally the past few characters in this marathon, but that just goes to show how much I love this franchise. Hell, Wilbur Audrey once said that the engines are like his kids and that he doesn't choose a favorite. And that couldn't have been more true. These characters are so unique in their own right, and James is no exception. Granted, James does beat Gordon for me in terms of my rankings for all the engines, but that makes him no different compared to someone like Thomas or Edward. James is another one of my favorite characters in the whole show, and I am so happy that I finally got to review him in this marathon, even if I had a bit of a warfare on one of his episodes. And that brings another Character Highlight Reel Part 2 episode to a close. Man, let me tell ya, words cannot describe how much fun I'm having covering all of these Thomas characters. Even if I'm ranting on episodes I hate. But the fun doesn't stop there. As for tomorrow's episode, we will be covering the little red caterpillar with red stripes himself, Percy. And if you don't want to miss out on me covering the little green guy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on the newest content. Until next time, bye guys.
Take a look who's coming down the track. Make way for James, hooray for James. The shiny, shiny pink with a jet black stack.